My boss thought he held all the power. He thought he could fire me with a snap of his fingers, with no paper trail, no consequences. He even had the audacity to ask if I was threatening him. I told him it wasn't a threat. It was a promise. And a year later, when his own lawyer was literally begging me to take a 5-figure check, I finally got to cash that promise in. Have you ever been underestimated? Treated like you were disposable by someone who thought the rules didn't apply to them? If you've ever dreamed of watching karma deliver a perfectly calibrated, legally binding smackdown, then you are in the right place. Hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready for a story of revenge that is so satisfying, it's practically Italian. Let's set the scene. A few years ago, I landed what I thought was a dream job. I was a SEO copywriter and social media manager for a well-known company in Italy. The office was sleek, the clients were big names, and I reported directly to the general manager, let's call him Luca, and his right-hand man, Marco. But the first red flag came before I even printed my first business card. They sat me down in Luca's glass-walled office, all smiles, and told me the deal. I couldn't be a normal employee. Oh no. I had to open a partita IVA, a VAT number. I had to be a freelancer. Now, for those who don't know, this is a classic shady move in some European countries. It means the company avoids paying your taxes, your benefits, your pension. They have zero responsibility towards you. And I knew it. I felt a knot of anxiety tighten in my stomach. I pushed back. This seems unusual. I'll be working exclusively for you, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. That makes me an employee. Luca just waved a dismissive hand. Don't worry, Cara, he said, his voice oozing false reassurance. This is better for you. You'll make so many connections through us. You'll see. Spoiler alert, I saw no connections. Only the inside of my home office. But I was good at my job. Impeccably good. I met every deadline, I crushed every campaign. My inbox was filled with praise from clients and from the bosses themselves. I thought my work would speak for itself. I thought I was securing my future. That was, until I met the Real management team. You see, Marco had a girlfriend on the payroll. And Luca, he had his mistress on the payroll. And these two? They were hopeless. I'm not just saying that. They would constantly make catastrophic errors, miss obvious deadlines, and then just dump their mess on the rest of us. Their work was a ticking time bomb of incompetence, and they were protected by a shield of personal connection. And I did not have a shield. I had a spine. I couldn't just smile and clean up their messes. When their mistakes meant I had to pull an all-nighter to fix a website crash they caused, I'd point it out. This error came from Sophia's department, I'd say in a meeting. We need to ensure it doesn't happen again. The room would go cold. Luca and Marco would exchange a look. I wasn't playing the game. I was rocking the boat they were using as their personal yacht. For 7 months, the tension built. The praise for my work started to feel hollow, layered over a foundation of resentment. I could feel their eyes on me, willing me to just be quiet and play along. Then, the day came. Marco called me into a small meeting room. No HR. No big boss. Just him, looking uncomfortable. He didn't meet my eyes. He just delivered the line, like he'd rehearsed it. Your services are no longer required. The air left my lungs. It was so blunt. So illegal. In Italy, you can't just fire a freelancer you treat like an employee without cause, without written notice. This was a power play. They thought I was a nobody. A contractor they could delete with one click. I felt the heat rise to my cheeks. But I didn't cry. I didn't yell. A cold, terrifying calm washed over me. I looked him dead in the eye. I'd like to speak with Luca, too, I said, my voice steady. That won't be possible, Marco replied, a smug little smirk touching his lips. He thought he'd won. He thought I was begging. And that's when I smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who has just seen their opponent's entire strategy and knows exactly how to counter it. This isn't over, I said, softly. Marco's smirk vanished. He leaned forward, his voice a nervous whisper. Are you threatening the company? I leaned in too, closing the distance. Threats are for people who aren't sure they'll win, I said. I'm making a promise. It's just a matter of time. I walked out of that office, my heart hammering against my ribs not from fear, but from pure, undiluted resolve. The next day, I was sitting across from a brilliant labor lawyer. I laid out the entire case. The fake freelance setup. The illegal firing. Her eyes lit up. This was a slam dunk. We sent a formal, legal communication to the company, outlining our intentions. And then, Luca, in his infinite, glorious wisdom, gave us the gift of a lifetime. He didn't have his lawyer reply. Oh no. He personally replied. He drafted a long, ranting, seething email directly to my lawyer. It was full of personal insults, wild accusations, and unprofessional tirades. He called me incompetent, difficult, a troublemaker. He basically put all of his toxic, guilty mindset on display and hit send. My lawyer forwarded it to me with a single line, "You are not going to believe this." We printed that email out. We highlighted the best parts. We bound it in our growing dossier. This wasn't just evidence, this was a confession signed in his own arrogance. For the next year, we built our case. A 200-page monster of a dossier. Every email of praise, every chat log showing my fixed hours, every invoice proving my sole income was from them, photos of me at company events, it was all there. A chronological story of their exploitation and my professionalism. Italian bureaucracy is slow, but we were patient. We were building a bomb. We filed this colossal document with the court in the middle of the Christmas holidays. A time when every corporate lawyer is on vacation, hoping for a quiet end to the year. We didn't even get a week into January. My phone rings. It's my lawyer, and she's trying not to laugh. You need to hear this, she says. Their lawyer had called her, not with a counter-argument, but with a plea. They wanted to settle. Immediately. They wanted to know what number it would take to make this whole, unfortunate matter, go away. The evidence was so overwhelming, so damning, that going to trial wasn't a risk, it was a guarantee of a massive, public loss for them. My lawyer and I discussed it. We named a 5-figure sum. A number that would truly sting. A number that represented every unpaid Social Security contribution, every moment of anxiety, every bit of disrespect. They accepted. Without a single complaint. The day of the settlement hearing arrived. We walked into the courtroom. Luca and Marco were there, faces like stone, refusing to look at me. Their lawyer looked tired. The judge, a sharp-eyed woman with an air of "I've seen it all," reviewed the paperwork. She looked at the massive stack of evidence we'd provided. She looked at Luca's insane email, highlighted for her convenience. She signed the settlement order. And then she did something I will never forget. She looked up, first at me and my lawyer, and gave a small, approving nod. "I must congratulate you on the exceptional thoroughness of your documentation," she said. "It makes my job much easier." Then, she turned her gaze to Luca. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. "Mr. Rossi," she said, her voice cold and clear. "We are honestly tired of seeing your name in this court. This conduct is appalling. See that it does not happen again." You could have heard a pin drop. Luca went bright red, then pale. He just stared at the floor, completely and utterly roasted by the one person in the room whose opinion actually mattered. The gavel came down. It was over. I walked out of that courthouse into the Italian sunlight, and I took a deep breath. It was the first breath I'd taken in over a year that didn't feel heavy. The promise I made to Marco in that little room, it was kept. And it was paid in full. They thought they could exploit a loophole and a person. They thought connections and arrogance would protect them. But in the end, the system, when presented with the undeniable truth, worked. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't screaming into the void. It's just meticulous, patient record-keeping. If that moment of judicial karma gave you the same chills it gave me, do me a favor, smash that like button. Let me know in the comments what's the most satisfying they had it coming story you've ever heard. And of course, subscribe for more tales of delicious, deserved revenge. Until next time.